Hello, welcome back. I'm Statman Dave, and today we'll be taking a look at how Solskjær will set up Man United when the Premier League returns, taking a look at the starting 11, formation and tactics. This video is brought to you by the Statman Dave patrons. Without your support, we couldn't bring you all of this content, so a huge thank you to you guys. If you want to check out our Patreon page, there'll be a link in the description below. But in terms of YouTube, make sure to subscribe and like that goddamn video. Anyway, let's get this party started. Before the season was brought to a halt, Manchester United were in sparkling form. The arrival of Bruno Fernandes led to United going unbeaten in 5 Premier League games, including a 2-0 win in the Manchester derby, the most recent game to have been played. But if you look in all competitions, United were unbeaten in 11, picking up 8 wins and scoring 29 goals and conceding just twice, collecting 9 clean sheets in the process. So looking at that form, you might think that the pause came at the wrong time for Solskjaer's men. But with several key players returning from injury, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should have a full squad to select from when the season restarts. But how will they line up? This season, Solskjaer has used a variety of shapes and systems, but has favoured the 4-2-3-1 week to week, and for the bigger games, the 3-4-1-2. So it's logical to assume that both of these shapes will still be utilised. In goal, David De Gea. Whilst the Spaniard has been seen to be out of form over the past couple of seasons, David De Gea is still a top quality goalkeeper. The problem he faces is he performed at such a high level for so many years. When he simply performs as expected, people deem it not good enough, which is quite frankly ridiculous. Whilst he's not outperforming his expected goals conceded this year, he's not let any extra goals in. But this could actually be more down to David De Gea working on his build-up play rather than traditional goalkeeping. This season, we've seen just 35.8% of his goal kicks travel more than 40 yards. The second lowest percentage in the Premier League, and just 35.6 of them travelling more than 40 yards from open play, which is far lower than the 52.7% he averaged on the previous 2 seasons. What this suggests is that United and David De Gea are trying to play a shorter passing game out of the back, which would see the club in a better place long term. But this build-up play could only work with ball-playing centre-backs, and United signed one of the Premier League's best last summer when they bought Harry Maguire. The England international has been a revelation at Manchester United, with the club keeping the second most clean sheets across Europe's top 5 leagues in all competitions this season. The club captain has come in and fixed a lot of last season's shortcomings. Last season, United was sometimes targeted aerially, but Maguire has stepped in and fixed that problem. In fact, Maguire ranks 3rd for centre-backs in terms of aerial duels won in Europe's top 5 leagues this season. But his ability to progress the ball by carrying out of defence or passing forward has had a huge impact on United's play, allowing their attackers to stay high up the pitch and receiving dangerous areas where they can hurt the opposition. And much of that is down to Maguire, with no Manchester United player making more passes into the final third this season than the skipper. He's developed a good relationship alongside Victor Lindelof at the heart of the defence, with their strengths covering their partner's weaknesses. For example, Lindelof in the past has been targeted aerially, but as we mentioned before, Maguire has eradicated this problem. Whilst Maguire doesn't exactly possess great pace, Lindelof excels in this area on the cover. Moving forward, it'll be interesting to see if Eric Bailly can stay fit and force his way into the side. A fully fit Bailly is a very good defender, but one of the reasons why United have been so solid this year has been the constant availability of Maguire and Lindelof. The pair have missed a combined 3 days through injury since signing for the club, whilst Bailly has missed a whopping 313. And that injury record has always hung over the Ivorian. And with so many games after the restart, I expect the robustness to be favoured, but Bailly and Tuanzebe will get chances to impress, much like the rest of the squad, and we could even see Mengi get a few minutes. At right back, one player has really locked down the shirt. Aaron Wan-Bissaka has been a defensive colossus since signing in the summer. Only Ricardo Pereira has won more tackles in the Premier League this season than Wan-Bissaka, but the Leicester man has been dribbled past 34 times more than Spider Wan. And his ability to effectively shut down opposition wingers has been a great tactical tool for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. The only question marks against him is his attacking output, with just 2 Premier League assists for the club. It's an area that Wan-Bissaka can improve, but he's already improving. During his early days at Manchester United, when he was in the final third, Wan-Bissaka was perhaps struggling with confidence. He'd dribble his man, and instead of crossing and continuing to the byline, he'd check back and lose the advantage, often playing sideways, safe passes backwards. Whereas since the turn of the year, he's been a lot quicker, creating a yard and sending in the cross for the forwards to attack. And this is where both his Premier League assists have come from. But we'll use Newcastle as one example. Fred in possession, he plays forward to Andreas, who plays it back to Wan-Bissaka, with the right back ghosting past Williams and teeing Rashford up at the back post. This really highlights Wan-Bissaka's improvement. The speed of thought is much quicker, with him taking just 2 touches before sending the cross in to Rashford to nod home. His confidence and direction in the final third is good to see, but I'd like to see him fulfill his potential and add even more to his game. From a deeper position, adding in maybe an early whip cross, but also further making use of his pace by dribbling his man, slowing himself down and firing low crosses for the forwards or cutbacks for the likes of Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes on the edge. In fact, no defender in the Premier League this season has had more successful dribbles that have led to shots than Aaron Wan-Bissaka. But what really underlines his recent improvement is his expected assists. In the past 7 Premier League games, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is expected to have assisted 1.95 goals, more than double of his expectation of the previous 19 games. Whilst Ollie has found his man at right back, there are 3 different options at left back. Diogo Dalot could be playing as an attacking inverted option, whilst Brandon Williams brings energy and aggression to the role, perfect for holding the width in the final third. But the most likely starter is Luke Shaw. Competition with Brandon Williams seems to have brought the best out of Shaw, and he looks to be in a position where he can really kick on this season. Shaw's passing is by far the best out of the potential left backs, with him completing 11.6 more passes per game than the next best left back. And Shaw's skill set could be perfect for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's United. If United return to the attacking structure they had worked on when Pogba was fit at the start of the season, with the fullbacks being tasked to play more of a reserved inverted role and allowing the midfielders to join the front 5, could be good for Shaw. From this position, the fullbacks would only support the attack, not facilitate them, occasionally adding thrust from deep. Whilst Brandon Williams could perform this role, his energy and non-stop running down the outside are some of his biggest strengths, attributes that he couldn't really use to the fullest from a more reserved position. But in midfield is where it gets really tricky. Solskjaer has to try to get Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes in the same side. They are without doubt 2 of the best midfielders in the competition and would walk into any side in the country. So the potential of them lining up together is tantalising for Manchester United fans. They can definitely perform together. As we know, we've already done a video looking at this in depth and it'll be linked in one of the cards above. But a short description of that video. Pogba's early performances came in the double pivot, whilst Bruno has been exclusively used at number 10. So Ollie definitely sees them performing in different starting roles. But in the game they could alternate positions freely to bamboozle man markers, or alternatively, when Bruno drifts laterally in search of space like we saw against Watford, that could vacate the number 10 area for Pogba to drive into. They also do their work out of possession, especially Bruno, who's covered on average more distance per game than any other Manchester United player since arriving in January. So they're definitely capable of playing next to each other. The question is who plays alongside them. Like at left back, there's a number of different options that brings different skill sets. Nemanja Matic is a traditional anchor man who holds his position and would allow the pair to join the attack. Fred, on the other hand, could bring in more energy and chaos to the midfield, perfect against sides that deploy a pressing game. But I think week in, week out, we'll see Scott McTominay. McTominay is the best suited player for the role. Prior to Pogba's injury, McTominay was the first choice partner and developed a really good understanding with the Frenchman. What McTominay could bring to the midfield would be fluidity. Both Pogba and McTominay are capable of holding their position and allowing their partner to join the attack, adding variety to United's offensive play. With Bruno's excellent spatial awareness and presence to operate in between the lines, we could see more space opened up for the pivot. But with Pogba and Bruno the obvious threats, it could open up space for McTominay. like we saw against Wolves last season. Lingard in possession in the final third. He goes back to Fred, who draws pressure before shipping it to McTominay, who buries into the bottom corner, an excellent low finish. But if we take it back, when Lingard plays it to Fred, Doherty is worried about Pogba. Then when Fred receives it, McTominay has the intelligence to pull away from João Moutinho and create a yard of space for himself and then finish. What's more is McTominay has an excellent attitude, which has led to his rapid improvement this season. In a recent box-to-box I did with Scott, he spoke about how Michael Carrick and Kieran McKenna have both been coaching him to be more of a threat from the edge of the box, highlighted by the goal against Wolves. We just mentioned with side steps to create a yard of space, then the composure to keep his body over the ball to finish. And this determination to improve is why he'll succeed at Manchester United. So finally, we've got to talk about the front three. Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial picked themselves. Before Rashford's injury, the pair had developed a really good relationship, forming a new age front two between a striker and a wide forward. Their link-up play culminated in an excellent goal against Norwich. Aaron's in possession for Norwich. He gives it to Bundia, who pops it around the corner, only for Young to intercept. Rashford plays it to Martial, who slips Rashford back in, only for the number 10 to backheel it and allow Martial to chip Tim Krul. A wonderfully worked goal, showing them almost telepathic link-up between the two. Prior to his injury, Marcus Rashford had been directly involved in 18 Premier League goals, exactly 50% of United's total league goals at that moment in time. Martial, on the other hand, has not only already matched his best goal-scoring season to date, but he's working so much harder off the ball, pressing the opposition more than twice as he managed per 90 in the Premier League this season than last. So the only real position that's up for grabs on the right flank. Whilst Mason Greenwood is a star in the making that can operate from that position, however, for his development, I'd like to see him used all across the line. I'd also like to see Diogo Dalot operated high up the pitch, wide left, wide right, giving that ability to use that good attacking intelligence that he has. Dan James, though, is likely to be the mainstay on the right-hand side until the end of the season. The former Swansea man has taken well to top-flight football. Despite signing for the club as a left winger, Dan James has played the majority of his minutes for United on the right-hand side, not only adapting to the higher level, but learning that new position in the process. He's also improved over the season, getting his head up and slowing himself down in the final third. Take his assist against Liverpool, a perfectly delivered cross from one channel to the other for Rashford to finish. The pair have got a really good understanding on the pitch together, with James assisting Rashford 4 times in the Premier League, the third highest assister to goal score combo in the competition. Expect that to maybe have been number 1 if Rashford hadn't been injured. But impressively, playing on the right-hand side hasn't held him back. So far this season, James has registered more assists than any other Manchester United player, and more than the likes of Bernardo Silva, Dele Alli and James Maddison. But as quickly as he's taken to top-flight football, there's still plenty more to come from the Welshman. Like many young players, when he's in the final third, he needs to make better decisions. Whilst he's improved over this season, he's still shown that he needs to work on this, and perhaps instead of shooting, he should have passed. In the recent 2-0 win over Manchester City, there are a number of occasions where James could have cut the ball back to Bruno Fernandes, who was in a better position, instead of looking to get a shot away. In these instances, it appeared like James had already decided that he was going to shoot before assessing all of his options in the penalty area, where teammates were in fact in better positions. But I think if he can work on his decision making, which will improve as he gets more match experience anyway, he'll become a real top quality Premier League winger. When the Premier League does restart, there's going to be a lot of games in a quick succession. So it's crazy to think one starting 11 will carry United through to the end of the season, so expect rotation throughout. But for the remaining games, I think we'll see a 3-4-1-2 against 4-3-3s and back threes like Sheffield United and Leicester City. We'll see a 4-4-2 diamond against 4-4-2s like we saw against Everton, and the 4-2-3-1 against everything else, and maybe a 4-2-4 with Pogba and Bruno in central midfield together if United are chasing a game. The beauty of a fully fit Manchester United squad is they have a number of different combinations of personnel to play against different systems. What's more is playing behind closed doors will give the opportunity to blood young players in a less pressurised environment, replicating the conditions they face at under 23 and youth league levels. So expect to see Tahith Chong, Angel Gomez, Jimmy Garner, of course Mason Greenwood to get more minutes before the end of the season. But before I go, let's have a little bit of fun. My predictions for Manchester United for the end of the season. Make sure you get into the comments below and give me your predictions. First up, I think United will win 6 out of the remaining 9 Premier League games. Marcus Rashford will go on to score 20 Premier League goals. Only City and Liverpool will finish with more clean sheets, and finally, United will finish 4th. But anyway, guys, what do you think? How will Ole Gunnar Solskjaer set up Manchester United after the restart? And what are your predictions? Let me know in the comments below. I've been Statman Dave. Subscribe if you're new, and goddamn, check out our Patreon page. There's loads of exclusive content over there, like an interview with Darren Fletcher, and of course, Liverpool's throw-in coach that we did last week. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, why not check out some more content on the Statman Dave YouTube channel?